so that you can plead guilty today?
Yes, Your Honor.
It's one of the first times we hear the voice of T.J. Lane as he pleads guilty to the murders of 3 of his classmates. One of the survivors, Nick Walczak, sat in a wheelchair in the back of the courtroom for today's hearing. Good evening, I'm Danita Harris.
And I'm Lee Jordan. Last October, Lane originally entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. But today, he changed his answer as part of a plea deal that Chief Investigator Ron Regan first learned about last week.
Well, today's guilty plea was a painful reminder of what happened a year ago. It was painful for families and for victims, like the young man who showed up in the courtroom in a wheelchair, the young man who was shot by T.J. Lane. Relying on a wheelchair, 18-year-old Nick Walczak continues rehabilitation from his own gunshot wounds a year ago. When T.J. Lane entered the courtroom, Lane never glanced in Walczak's direction, appearing expressionless as Judge David Fury accepted Lane's guilty plea.
You understand that you're pleading guilty. You want to plead guilty to the 3 aggravated murder charges with the firearm specifications.
Yes, Your Honor.
Lane's parents were in the courtroom, as well as his aunt and his grandparents. All declined to comment. And Lane was repeatedly asked by the judge if he understood the guilty plea he was entering.
Now, do you understand that if a sentence of life without parole is imposed, you will remain in prison until your own death?
Yes.
Also in the courtroom, the parents of 16-year-old Daniel Parmatour and 16-year-old Demetrius Yulin, both shot to death by Lane. Defense attorney Ian Friedman said it was Lane's decision alone to plead guilty.
TJ's plea of guilty is a complete admission to each and every element of each and every charge, every crime. TJ has made it clear that he will not seek to mitigate what has been done.
Prosecutors are hoping today's plea brings closure.
It is the same result that we would have expected had we had a jury trial. So today's plea accomplishes what we wanted to accomplish at the outset, which was to see that justice was done. It puts this matter in the hands of the judge, and it will be up to the judge to fashion a sentence that is just and appropriate given the tragic circumstances in this case.
And Lane's sentencing is scheduled for March 19th. The least he could get is 26 years to life. The maximum would be life in prison without the chance for parole. Now, Lane was found, ironically, competent to stand trial in a competency report that was released just before he entered the guilty plea today. He avoided the death penalty, by the way, because he was 17 years old when the crime occurred. Reporting live from Chardon, I'm Chief Investigator Ron Regan.
Okay, Ron, thanks very much.